Dozens and dozens of pot plants, all in one man's backyard.
For a while, it was perfectly legal, but the grower eventually learned the state's medical marijuana program had made a mistake. That mishap had him surrendering the pot to drug enforcement officers and state health officials reworking how they issue medical marijuana licenses. News 13's Tim Maestas has tonight's special assignment.
From State Health Department headquarters in Santa Fe to the streets of Carlsbad and the backyard of Randy Mazur.
That's what I do. I grow. God gave me the gift.
Mazur is a patient in the state's medical marijuana program. Just a few months ago, his now empty backyard was packed with pot plants. All of them perfectly legal because of the nonprofit producer license that allowed him to have up to 95 fully matured medical marijuana plants at a time.
I can outproduce anybody in this state, hands down.
He still is producing, but on a much smaller scale. At one point, he had dozens of medical marijuana plants just behind his house. These are pictures of the forest that was growing in the backyard. Eventually, someone grew suspicious and called police. Members of the local drug task force showed up to investigate, and shortly after that, Mazur discovered something was wrong.
They had made a mistake and sent me the wrong license.
Uh-oh, how did it happen?
Did he have the wrong license?
Yeah, that's correct.
Mazur was supposed to have the state's personal production license, which limits a patient to just 4 mature pot plants instead of the 95 mature plants allowed under the nonprofit producer license.
According to the Department of Health, it was a simple mistake based on the fact that 2 different medical marijuana licenses looked so much alike.
In fact, they were almost identical. The only real difference was the sentence clarifying how many pot plants were allowed. Whoever sent Mazur the wrong license printed his name on the wrong certificate.
That's when we took a closer look at our cards and made sure that we changed them so it can't happen again.
The 2 different licenses now have a very different look, a new layout that makes it very clear which is which.
We do recognize that it was a clerical error. It was unfortunate, and we're making sure that it won't happen again.
According to Health Department spokesperson Deborah Bussmeyer, getting the state's medical marijuana program off the ground was a challenging task. The number of enrolled patients more than tripled over the last 6 months to more than 800 people.
It's unfortunate that we had this one mistake, but we're confident that we can continue to keep this program strong for our patients.
Randy Mazur feels let down. He eventually surrendered his dozens of pot plants to the drug task force because his backyard was getting too much attention from the bad guys.
People started hopping my fence and ripping them off right and left.
Now you have the correct license.
Yes, I do.
Mazur would eventually like to have the nonprofit producer license to provide other registered patients with the medical marijuana they're allowed to have. His application is still pending with the health department. Tim Maestas, KRQE News 13.
Randy Mazur is the founder of the nonprofit group Veggies, Inc., and he says drug users learned of his backyard pot farm because of all the commotion created when the drug task force showed up. He says it got so bad, he was prepared to shoot the drug users who were hopping his fence.